Okay. So, Emma, thank you so much for being here. It's really nice to meet you in person, I guess. Do you want to start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and your blog?
Sure, yeah. I guess to start off, thanks for having me on here. It's a really great opportunity. And start off a little bit about myself. I am a writer and a blogger, but I'm also currently a graduate student at the University of Cambridge, so I sometimes go over to England there because it's part-time, but I normally live in the States, so I'm typically over here. And yeah, just right now I'm working as a copywriter and volunteering with a bunch of literary journals, exploring all the different types of things when it comes to reading and writing for those types of things. I kind of hope to get into like maybe some editing and publishing later on just to understand more of the process. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Okay, that's really cool. I didn't know you were attending Cambridge right now. That's a really great school, so it's really amazing.
Yeah, I'm about to graduate the end of October, I think it is.
Oh, okay. So pretty close.
Yeah, it's exciting. I'm almost done with my dissertation.
Wow, that is exciting. Just a few months
Yeah,
left. Wow, that's really great. Congratulations.
thanks.
So do you want to tell us a little about your blog as well and what made you want to start blogging and when you started blogging, things like that?
Yeah, so my blog is currently under my author name, E.S. Foster, and I started a little less than 3 years ago. I started blogging because when I was getting to learn more about promoting yourself as an author, having a website, just getting your name out there right
Yeah.
after graduating, I realized that it was really important to do that type of thing. I also read a lot of sources that were saying, oh, writers should also blog because it's really important that they write regularly. It's important that they grow their platform, and this is a great way to do that. So I definitely thought that that was a good direction to go in. And I also thought, well, if I can write articles about what I enjoy and teach others about writing, then it's a win-win. So I've been doing that for a few years, and it's been a pretty steep learning curve, but on the whole, I've really enjoyed being able to explore different avenues that way.
Right. I think that's great. And I think you're right. I think blogging can be really, really beneficial for writers. Like you said, it's great practice and it's also a great way to sort of create a platform where people are already interested in your writing. Um, So, as a writer, when did you first get into writing? Was it something you were always passionate about from a young age? Was it something you decided you wanted to do when you got a bit older?
Oh yeah, it was definitely a young age. I remember I was about 6 and I had just moved states, so I was at a completely new school. But one day, the teacher sat us down for story time and she showed us this little book that her niece had made. And it was like she had drawn the pictures and she had written the story. And I remember sitting on the floor thinking, I want to do that, as a little kid. And ever since then, I've been writing stories. I went to school for like my bachelor's with English and I minor in creative writing and I'm doing creative writing now in graduate school. So that's always been the direction that I've wanted to go in and I've explored different types of writing with my job, with blogging and all sorts of things like that.
Right. So as a writer, what advice would you give to other writers out there who might be trying to get in the same field?
One thing I've noticed recently is that I tend to have a lot of what's called like time anxiety with
Right,
things. So I always feel like I'm running out of time. I get really anxious if I'm not hitting certain milestones.
right,
But the thing about writing, with the advice I'd give, is that there's no set path for writing. And it's easy to compare yourself to other writers if they do things earlier, but you have your whole life to write and you have your whole life to be creative. So you don't need to focus on the anxiety of, oh, I really should be doing this by now, you know.
Yeah.
Just focus on getting better with your writing. And if you have any setbacks, like you receive a rejection or anything, don't take this as like a step backward. Think of it as this is a chance for me to get better. And if I have to take my whole life to become the best writer it can be, that's definitely better than publishing at an early age and then growing as a writer and realize, oh, what I wrote and published isn't actually as good as where I am now. And I kind of wish I had reached those milestones later in life. So don't get don't get too excited about moving forward and end up going in the wrong direction in the end.
Absolutely. I think that's excellent advice. I don't know about you, but like once I turned 25, like the anxiety really, really kicked in. And I was like, whoa, like, there's a lot I wanted to do by 25 that I hadn't done yet. But I think you're right. I think there is not like a proper time frame for things. Like do it when it feels right. Like don't force yourself to do things early on.
Yeah, there are plenty of writers too who didn't start writing till like after
Yeah.
40 or even 50, and they had all that time to hone in their skills and eventually show it to the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of successful writers, even if they start early, they actually find success later in life. There's very few that, write one book and get like really big off that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even though I think, time frame isn't like really that necessary, where do you see yourself in 10 years with writing and blogging? Do you have any maybe long-term goals with it?
I definitely hope in the next few years at least to have found an agent. There's a lot with grad school that I'm doing right now where they're getting us in touch with people who can definitely help us with that. So I definitely think within 10 years I will get to that point, but by the time 10 years are up, I really hope to have published something at least, you know. But with blogging, I honestly still hope to continue doing it, even if I'm like writing novels and stuff like that and I got everything else going on. I think it'd still be something that'd be really beneficial and it's something I deeply enjoy. I might not be able to do it as much, but I hope to remain consistent with it.
Right. I think that's really great. Yeah, I think blogging can be fun and it's also just a nice way to take a break from your writing in general. Um, I, f-
Yeah,
yeah, I feel like it's a great, like you're practicing writing, but then the pressure is kind of off because you're not like doing it to get it like published and out there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So as a writer and a reader, what is your favorite genre or genres to read or write?
I really enjoy speculative fiction, specifically like fantasy and science fiction. I
Mhm.
do a lot of reading in that area, but I also read for different literary journals that publish a lot of that. So it's really exciting to get to read pieces in those genres every day because it's something I really enjoy.
Yeah. I think I'm the opposite. I think fantasy is like the one genre that I don't really have like that much, but I've read some really great books, so I do understand. Like I feel like it's one of those things where it can be like amazing or it can be horrible. It's very
Yeah,
right.
it's very complicated to get right, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Because technically everything is like made up, so you kind of have to be perfect at it. Otherwise, it's just not gonna like what you're seeing in your head is not gonna really be what everyone's seeing.
Yeah, there are many complicated facets to the world building as opposed to like if you were writing literary fiction. That's not to say literary fiction isn't
Oh, yeah, of
also
course.
complex, but there's like different ways you have to write those types of genres.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so um, as a blogger, how do you come up with new topics for blog posts?
One thing I like to do is use like those keyword research tools that you can find online for free. Because
Right.
sometimes if you just type in a broad something broad that you're writing about continuously, like say you type in writing, it comes up with all sorts of ideas. But I also usually just write out a list in advance. And then if I think of something that sounds interesting for the week, I'll try to write it. Or if there's like almost like a series that I think of, like, oh, how do I write X? How do I write Y? And it just sort of generates more ideas from there because I can just list them off.
Right. Yeah. And so we're gonna move on to some more fun questions now. Just
Okay.
yeah, just to keep the oh, by the way, you are gonna be sharing a post on my blog about blogging, I guess, and lots of things to do with SEO. So just putting that out there.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right. You were gonna publish that.
Yeah, so I'll link to that as well when I publish this interview, just in case anyone wants to read. It's a really good post. I enjoyed it very much, so I hope like everyone else does as well. Um, so moving on to the first fun question. If money were no object, what outrageous luxury would you add to your house?
I always kind of wanted to have like one of those secret rooms hidden in your house. I don't know if that'd be feasible in like my house because my house is kind of small, but it'd be cool to have one of those bookshelves where you
Oh
pull a
yeah.
book back and it opens up because that'd be just a really nice reading nook. And I don't know how expensive that would be, but I feel like furnishing it would definitely be the expensive part, getting all those books in there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, but that sounds like perfect. Like I'd love that. Like someone
Yeah,
sees you and you just kind of disappear behind the bookshelf.
exactly.
That's a really good answer. Okay, the second one. What is your favorite simple pleasure?
I guess one thing I really enjoy is if it starts raining, especially early in the morning when it's not too dark,
Yeah.
and you just hear the rain on your window, it's really nice to just curl up with a good book or even go back to sleep
Oh,
when
yeah.
the rain sounds like that. It's just always so soothing.
It is. That's true. It's been raining a lot here, and like I've had the best sleep I've had in ages. It's just, it's so calming.
It's so dry over here right now, so I can't wait for it to start raining again this summer.
Oh, yes, yeah. I'm sure you enjoy it a lot. It's like the best, rain is like the best weather to sleep or just relax and do nothing.
Yeah.
The next question is, what is one thing people would never guess about you?
Um, when I was in high school, I joined my high school bowling team. And at one point, I was in like the regionals and I kind of got like higher up in that. I didn't really win anything, but I did win some scholarship money. But people are always so surprised when I tell them I was on a bowling team because I haven't done it in a long time.
Right. That's surprising, but that's really cool actually.
Yeah.
And the last fun question, what is your favorite TV show at the moment if you're watching anything?
My dad and I really enjoy watching all of those like Food Network baking championships together.
Yes,
So it's like
yeah.
we just finished up the spring one and now the summer one is coming. So it's been really exciting. And it's just something we enjoy doing together, like me and him.
Right. That those are really fun actually. I watched those with my sister too, like especially like before. It's really fun and it's actually really exciting to watch, you're right. And I feel like it's a nice break for your brain. Like you don't have to think too much. You just enjoy it.
Yeah, I love how they explore the different flavors and like the designs they come up with
Oh,
for all of the desserts. It's always so much fun to watch.
yeah, people are so creative. Like I had no idea. Like so much of it was just new information to me. Um, so the last thing I'm gonna say is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners today? Anything about your blog or your writing, anything pretty much.
I guess, well, I blog on WordPress, so I can always link my blog in. But I guess another thing I wanted to tell writers is I've said this a little bit earlier, but like, don't compare yourself to other writers. I know that's always difficult, and
Yeah,
sometimes it's hard when other people are like doing all these amazing things, but if you waste your time comparing yourself, then you don't actually write more and you don't actually gear towards the goals that you have. So you end up just hurting yourself in the process. So just focus on what you're doing because you're doing great.
absolutely. I think you're so right about that. And I think when you compare yourself to others, you try to mimic their style and you kind of lose your own unique voice and your originality. So, yeah, I think just stick to your own path. That's so true.
Exactly.
Yeah. So thank you for being here. I think that's it for the questions for today. I really enjoyed the interview. Thank you. You gave some excellent advice to writers out there or even just bloggers out there. So really appreciate that.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Of course, it's my pleasure. Okay, so thank you.